Welcome to another segment of CBA, CRPHA Business Advocate. Today's segment is going to be first of all, a question. Has a world trusted, more than a century trusted, mind you, more than a century trusted product known as Reynolds Wrap? Many single and married people have used this very product for various different events, family gatherings, parties, what have you else, right? And yet they've used it also in the sense of saving it for, say, dinner and many other aspects of maybe a little snack, whatnot, right? And this product has been made since 19 was essentially first made in the 1940s, and then it became more than a family and world, essentially, as far as I know right now, world trusted, and within the United States to start with, by many people, both single, married, and divorced, and what have you else, right? but uh, but the one question is, has this particular century trusted product, known as again Reynolds Wrap, in which you could still cook, and I've seen many people do this, essentially cook with Reynolds Wrap inside the oven, right, with the food above it, right, and at times, and I've seen people even use it in in covering the particular food product, or cooked, ready-made, already cooked food product to put in the fridge for maybe the next time, then like lunch or something, right? Mm, and and what we found out from, of course, a particular group, of course, that and they're kind of wondering as well is if the particular company has gone for on the side of the feminists. Mm, and if it has, why? Because I know the one thing is that it's been used mostly by women when it comes to woman in the kitchen type of thing, right? Since 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? All the way through the 80s and a percentage of the 90s. Of course, it's mixed in now at that point. And even for the men that are single, they've been using this thing too. And also the one thing is though is that the um the company or companies essentially sided with various sides unprofessionally. Pepsi used uh, a particular, shall we say, millennial saying in one of their products, and many of you I know saw it, so I don't really have to say it. That was a bad business move on the side of Pepsi. Coca-Cola has since then tried to even use the aspect of raising their prices on their Coca-Cola products due to a particular political thing that was happening in the beginning, during the Trump administration, when they could have easily done something more logical, like reason with the administration instead of going against the consumer in saying that they're going to raise the prices. Bad move on that one for Coca-Cola. And also a bad move also for Coca-Cola is that they were about to have a number of, at least a particular new product with the shall we say, maybe an aftertaste or sense of the popular narcotic known as marijuana. And when in our advocate, one of our advocate staffing within the humanitarian aspect is has caught this on a particular news post by the new one of the news media saying that the the Coca-Cola product not only would also raise the prices. Of course, that was much later before this one that I'm about to mention, but also they were about to come out with a marijuana type of Coca-Cola soft drink. Yes, Coca-Cola was known to have a bit of cocaine in it in its in its beginnings, due to, of course, the founder, the original founder that later died before Coca-Cola gained its popularity. Many years before, um, and and now they want to go back into. It's almost like they wanted to go back into their little past, just a bit, but with a different concept of it, right? Bad move on that one, also Coca-Cola. The basic fact is now we have one other one to start with that is trying to think that they know what society is leaning towards, and they think that obviously it's leaning towards the side of the favor of the feminists. Bad move on that one, Reynolds rep, because you cannot justify what's been going on and what's been said between the two groups of like the feminist Me Too movement faction or grouping, whatever, and the MGTOW. You need to be either on the sidelines of that and keep on making commercials and selling to those without showing you're siding with either or. Because if you show that you're siding with one, like for example, um, one of our staffing again, being of course our founder, being of course me, of course, and watched a TV commercial of Reynolds Rep last night, yesterday evening essentially, and it showed the woman coming home from work, essentially bringing home the bacon concept, and the man being Mr. Mom and setting the table for dinner with the kids all around, right? And if you watch the MGTOW video about this, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the basic fact is, of course, you'll probably see me though. But anyway, the one thing is though, nonetheless, it is not very professional, nor is it business friendly to side with one versus the other. Yes, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and maybe a small moderate, maybe a medium to a little larger moderation in the 1980s, to maybe a mixture of the 1990s and a mixture of the millennium, that both male and female have used it, but mostly female in the big from the product's beginnings. But the one thing is that you cannot justify that. You cannot justify it just because of the beginnings known where Reynolds Wrap was mostly used by the woman in the kitchen. Because Reynolds Wrap since its beginnings has been used left and right on both by both genders. Bad business move on that one on Reynolds Wrap. And now Reynolds Wrap is going to be having Reynolds Wrap essentially is going to be having to do many hard things or fold up, because the it just one commercial can fuck up an industry's um, respect of the community and of its consumers. Just one. Depends upon how it's done, though, too. Um, and Reynolds Rep has done that already. Reynolds Rep sides with the ones that started using the product in the kitchen since its beginnings. Bad move, but yet many people are correlating that with the feminist movement. Jack in the Box. It was a horrific, sad thing that happened with Jack in the Box. The one thing I'm referring to is that in somewhere in the 1990s is that they had a there was a big uproar and a sad thing. This also happened to children that Jack in the Box undercooked their meat. Aside from making the positive, all friendly commercials, right? They still undercook their meat, right? Yet people were hospitalized, both adults and as well as children were hospitalized, and who's to say which of the three died due to it? But or even if there was any deaths to that point, but although there was a hearsay thing as well, but but the one thing is that Jack and Box knew they had to do something. Yes, they had the CEO of the time, or president of the time, make a television commercial of an apology, but they didn't. They did a lot more than that. They did a lot more than that. They kept on making the commercials. Granted, positive as all hell, right? But the one thing is, they did a lot more. They made sure that their meat was not undercooked. They made steps to make sure nothing went below the health and quality standards, right? Now people are still going, and people are more and more people are going back to Jack in the Box, or have been essentially since then. But here's one option that Jack in the Box could do due to that particular thing that happened. What Jack in the Box could do is make a foundation and donating maybe $10,000 to $20,000 um, to the families that lost those loved ones, loved ones, in that particular situation that Jack and Box caused, and they can do it. And shall we say, if you buy if like 100 or so locations get Jumbo Jacks combo purchases or fajita pita combo purchases, various things like that, then that a percentage of that would go directly to the foundation to build up $20,000 to $30,000 given to the people who lost their loved ones. Aside from the fact that Jack and as said that Jack and Box, not so currently, but it's been said that also Jack and Box now has been trying to sell itself to other corporations or another side. It was essentially to where the ones that are currently running it, it'd be like another Mervin's. What happened to Mervin's is after the original founders sold it to one company, then they went to Dayton Hudson, then eventually the CEO and president of Mervin's through Dayton Hudson pulled out and merged with Suncoast several years later. And since then, the ownership of Mervin's has been changing hands left and right, up and down. Bad move there. Jack and Bucks, I don't think you want to have that happen to your facility because you can end up just as mixed up and more than forgotten in that aspect. Okay, getting back onto Reynolds Rat though, what do you think? Do you think that the Reynolds Wrap is trying to go back in its roots of its beginnings, essentially of the woman in the kitchen type of thing since its beginnings. And then because you remember that if you know that even Reynolds Wrap has advertised a number of times since 1940, 40 something or other, but they as when the company and the product was established. Now the one thing is though, from that point on, it's been used by men as well as women. Essentially, yes, women have been using it first, but the one thing is and be that in the kitchen though, but ever since the 1970, 50s, 60s, 70s, men have used it equally as much, mostly in the 70s and 80s and 90s and the millennium. So generally to side with one particular grouping, just because they may think that that's the way society is leaning, they cannot make such of a judgment. Because any company that makes such of a judgment of for any reason whatsoever, bad business move, your you can ruin your sales percentages. You can ruin your product in many other aspects to it, to where you will become way more than no longer trusted, way more than no longer used and essentially utilized within the household, both single and married. And you may be used in the sense of the feminist woman, but you will not be used beyond that. And aside from the fact that women may still use it, but you need both sides to use it because there's also the single percentage of the population, both male and female, as well as female, essentially, that have used it even before the feminist look look commercial that happened earlier yesterday evening. So Reynolds Wrap has to do a lot more now, a lot more than Jack and Ox, a lot more than any of the other products that I did and did not mention, and even now, even beer commercials are not going towards the feminist movement because they know already if they were to do that way, if they were to go that way, they'd lose their product um popularity as well, and their sales percentages would go down the tubes as and I will post a link to a video that states this. So Reynolds Wrap, bad business move of thinking that you can favor the woman by having the woman look like she's coming home from work, bringing home the bacon, metaphorically, and the guy being Mr. Mom and setting dinner on the table with the kids around. Mm-mm. You cannot make a quick judgment and assessment of thinking you know which way the the base of society is leaning because it's not really leaning anywhere. Logically, logically, it's not leaning anywhere. It may think that because of there's more push on the feminists that it's leaning towards for the feminists, right? No, you can't do that. No business, no product making business, no business of any type and sort, even in the sense of retail, can make that judgment and even make that assessment of thinking, oh yeah, this is the way it's going. Uh-uh. You'll lose. Your stock value will go down the tubes. Your stock will go completely plummet, which can put Reynolds Wrap into a Section 11 commercialized bankruptcy, which basically will turn into Reynolds Wrap will turn into another Circuit City. Reynolds Wrap will turn into another Mervyn's. Reynolds Wrap will turn into another Radio Shack. Reynolds Wrap will turn into another Rubbermaid. And you know what happened with Rubbermaid due to the particular back and forth with Walmart. Rubbermaid had recontracted other retailers that were agreeable to pay the little extra cost. Walmart didn't go that way because they thought if they were to agree to the extra cost, the additional cost of the product in selling the product to its consumers, um, that Rubbermaid wanted Walmart to sign a contract that Walmart would have to raise the price, and which basically to them it would go away from their low cost aspect of what they've been advertising, even in that particular part of the timeline. But the one thing is that many other companies, many other retailers, essentially agreed to the um, the cost hike, which was not that high. Yet they still were able to sell the product to their consumers. The other retailers were able to sell it to their consumers at the same low price and still make a profit. Walmart is not was not logical on that aspect, thinking something that wasn't not really in the picture. So Walmart, you fucked up big time. Plus you cost the demise of Rubbermaid, the one of the well trusted and more than utilized and purchased products. Now we have to go with Sterilite and all the other plastic crap of the Rubbermaid competitors. Obviously, Walmart needs to learn how to do business better on that, especially when it comes to that. And now, now that with all that said right there, is that what do you think Reynolds Rep will do? Reynolds Rep has already made a bad move by associating itself with the feminist movement, as it will be seen even by one that already made the video yesterday evening after noticing it. The basic fact is that Reynolds Rep needs to really rethink things now, or fold up, or sell itself to one of its competitors, like Pepsi many centuries ago was trying to sell itself to Coca-Cola, but luckily Coca-Cola declined on purchasing Pepsi, which basically made it to where Pepsi was able to revamp itself and thereby outsell Coca-Cola. And this was in its beginning, in part of its beginnings. So Reynolds Rep, are you gonna keep on doing the feminist movement commercials lineup, or are you going to stay out of the quit favoring one side versus the other, and just be in the center of it all, and just make regular commercials to where you don't favor either side? Because a company like you, Reynolds Rep, and other companies are not supposed to favor either side. You are a family utilized product, even by single uh, parents as well as single men and women. you keep on going one, and you keep on doing the ones and favoring the one side. In this case, the feminist. You'll be losing your shirt big time, which basically will go to the point to where you'll have to go into Section 11. Thereby, it's not Section 11 hasn't really been very favorable to any company, especially where the commercialized court has not been really that favorable to any company in that particular situation. Or else Circuit City would still be around for one. Like I said, Circuit City would still be around, and with Circuit City still being around, if the Section 11 was very favorable at all, then of course Best Buy and Circuit City would still be at it even right now, even in this part of the century of 2019. So Reynolds rep, do not go into the points of using your CEO or president or any executive member within your company to make a commercial, an apology or explanation, because it's not gonna make you look any better. In fact, your stock and your sales percentage will go down the tubes, even if you try that. So the best thing that Reynolds rep can do, business wise, is not favor either side and just keep on making commercials that does not favor either side. I know it's going to take some time for Reynolds rep to figure out which particular method or concept they should go on that aspect, right? We could wait, just keep on selling the product, and you'll see, and you may get a fair, if not same percentage of sales, in your market or not. Who's to say? Which basically, you're going to have to chance that one commercial that you fucked up by making and putting out in the airwaves and seeing what happens thus far until you actually find ways that you don't where it shows that you're not favoring either side, being that where you're not favoring the feminist and where you're not favoring just the male. It has to be right, no, or on the sidelines, basically. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that one? Do you think the feminist movement will try to make sure that Reynolds Rep keeps on doing what they did, starting with yesterday evening's commercial, where the woman comes home bringing home the bacon, and the guy does the Mr. Mom thing and puts dinner on the table? Or do you think Reynolds Rep should continuously just do what they've done before the current feminist and Me Too movement thing, to where they made just regular commercials that doesn't favor either side? Or do you think they, seeing that they did that, they might as well favor the male side now? Of course, we all already know that the feminist movement will go against that big time, won't they? So thereby, the Reynolds Rep, without favoring either side though, the feminist movement and the Me Too movement and the MGTOW grouping will have to wait and see themselves, right? Wouldn't they? And also with that, um, they cannot they cannot push for either side either, because if they do that, then Reynolds Rep might as well just fold up, be non-existent, because you don't want to put pressure on a company that is trying to be, shall we say, equally leveled for both sides, for both genders, right? Because it is said that if it does side with one versus the other, or the other versus one, right? Then basically they're going to be fucking up their stock percentages. They're going to be fucking up their fucking sales and profit aspects and percentages. And they will be fucking up their product value. Big time. So Reynolds rep has to stay in the middle or on the sideline of the whole thing between the two MGTOW and the feminist and Me Too movement situations and issues. This is CBA, CRPHA Business Advocate. Have a good day. Please stay safe. Do not give in to failure. We salute the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and we salute our veterans and thank them for their service. And we will pray and thank our troops and veterans that did not make it back. And we will we thank the troops in this current century as well, that and even the ones that are still in the military. We thank you for your service, both in the military, starting with the Marines, Air Force, Navy, and Army, to start with anyway. And we also hope that Heavenly Father in our Savior's name blesses the United States of America, our youth, and the American people. Have a good day. And Trump for 2020.